But do remember, whenever you're communicating with anyone, stick to one single language. Now, many a times, like we Indians, I have come across a lot of people who tend to switch languages while talking. So sometimes there's a mixture of Hindi, English, people talking Hinglish as they call it in India, and sometimes there's Marathi. So in if at all you're conveying your thoughts to anyone or brainstorming ideas with uh, anyone, stick to one particular language. Even if you stammer or if you take time in building up all these things, you can pause. There's no hurry. No one is in a hurry. You can take a pause. You can think of the entire concept that you want to tell someone. But do remember, just talk in a particular language, a single language. It need not be English. It can be Hindi. It can be Marathi. But just stick to one particular language. But since company, it is not true that a lot of companies interviews are held in English. I have seen interviews that are held in Hindi too. So that's not an issue at all. Sticking to one language is the most important thing. Coming to the part of exploration, the first point is that you should be hungry for knowledge. You shouldn't be stubborn for learning newer things. Many times I have actually seen people who are reluctant to learn learn newer things. Now, suppose uh, in the case of students, like y'all will be having subjects like P soup or probably computer network theory and all. So whatever theory or whatever portion that y'all have, don't I would say don't stick to whatever is there. Broaden the scope. This broaden the scope. Google up things that y'all are completely unaware of. In fact, to be honest, me being an IT, a development engineer in the field of IT and computers, I am really like I'm curious about science too. Like it could be physics, it could be chemistry, or it could be anything. So whenever possible, it could be electronics too. Like though I had a background of electronics in my 11th and 12th standards, so yeah, I'm really hungry for knowledge. So wherever possible, we need to grasp all kinds of knowledge possible. Secondly, share whatever you know. So yes, not everyone knows everything, and I have not heard of anyone or I have not known of anyone who knows everything. I have seniors who don't know what I know. So it's a good thing that you share whatever knowledge or whatever small thing that you know, whatever new that you know, you can share it with your friends, you can share it with your seniors or relatives. It is not that the seniors know a lot as compared to what you know. There could be chances that you know more than them. In fact, I am working with a lot of seniors who don't know as much as me. Obviously, there are times wherein I learn a lot of things from the seniors when it comes to the processes that are followed. Like if I need to submit a project to someone or if I need to talk to someone, how to talk to them and all. Like especially when they are big people or when they are clients. By clients, I mean uh, clients are basically the people to whom I need to deliver the stuff. So basically, clients would be like your teachers right now for you being the employer and your teachers being the clients. Teachers ask you all to do something, and then you all will have to deliver your projects or whatever the teacher demands from you. Then comes then the third point is like keep asking questions. Whenever you keep asking questions, no matter how silly the questions are, questions remain questions. You need to keep asking questions as to quench your curiosity, I would say. So this is a big major section of the exploration part wherein you keep asking questions. The more you ask questions, the more your doubts are cleared and there will be less chances of you to misinterpret things. So yes, and obviously after you do ask questions and you receive an answer, make sure you receive a correct answer, because there are people out there who fool you. Then the third part is the initiative. So whenever companies or employers, they look how responsible you are, or how keen you are in taking up responsibilities. So I would say, like, as soon as you are imbibed into a company, or you are taken into an industry or a company, you should be completely open. You should know the entire procedure or the process followed in a particular company, or by entire, the process followed, I would say. And then accordingly, if you feel yes, you can lead this team, you should be able to come out of your shell and tell your managers or whoever you are being managed by saying that yes, I can handle this. It is just like saying, in your class you all might be having something called as the class representative, someone called as a class representative. So the CR is nothing but the one who takes up responsibilities. It is not that just the CR takes up responsibilities. It is, the task is equally the same for each and every candidate or each and every student in the class to take up responsibilities. So that's a big thing. Then the next point is under initiative is share your ideas openly. So whatever small idea you have, or no matter how silly the idea is, share your ideas openly. Discuss with your teammates, discuss with your friends, I would say, because friends are the closest that you all will be having in colleges. Share your ideas openly with them, so that among your friends circle, you would be the one to take initiative regarding this particular idea that you have put forth in front of them. And then it would be like, you are already preparing yourself to take up responsibilities regarding this particular idea that you have shared. Then last but not the least, under initiative is becoming one with the team. A lot of times, people in a team, now whenever you are being interviewed or you are being questioned by interviewers, they look at how you present yourself in front of them, and they see how easy it is for you, how friendly you are with the interviewers, or how easy it is for you to become one with the team. So this is a big thing. No matter how stubborn your teammates may be, or how stubborn you feel your teammates or friends may be, you need to adjust yourself, or you just need to ignore the negatives and become one with the team and contribute to the success for the entire thing altogether. So these are the main expectations from an industry or an employer. Your communication should be like really good. Yes, you might not be fluent in English, that's completely fine. But English being a main language, you can start working on like just reading few books or reading English newspapers and all that stuff. Exploration, yes, you will have to keep asking questions, learn, check out solutions from here and there, Google up things. That's your best friend, I would say. And the third one is, you should be able to take initiatives or take up responsibilities. These are the three main things that employers actually see. So this is the video that I was talking about regarding communication, if effective communication. So client is basically like, I would rename this as client being your teachers. Let the clients are your teachers, wherein teachers demand stuff, like teachers want you all to do something. Business analysts, no offense for all the class representatives out there, they are like your CRs. Okay, developers are all the students the CRs are talking to. So basically all of you all. And code is basically like what you will be actually delivering to the students. You will be actually delivering to the client, to the teacher. So yes, I'll just begin. Okay, so the way to watch the video is like, first you will have to see what the client is making, and then what your CR interprets it. The business analyst interprets it, and he draws it on his sheet of paper, and ultimately you'll have to see what uh, the piece of code that is written. Yeah. So as you all saw, it started off with a small turtle, and the product that was actually delivered was something else, as you all could have seen in the video. So how in the communication part, no matter how long it takes, ensure that each and everything is completely conveyed thoroughly to you. If you all have questions regarding whatever, how small the question may be, keep asking questions until and unless there are no doubts in your head, and then you are ready to deliver your your project or your product. So now I would come to the section where how you can prepare in order to keep up to these expectations. So the first step would be explain like I'm five. So this is a concept, like if there are any Redditors, you all would be knowing this concept. So I would be talking in depth in the coming slides. This is your first part, wherein you would be explaining a concept like as if you're a 5-year old. The next would be know a programming language. You should be knowing at least one programming language. I wouldn't say thoroughly, but yes, you should be having an idea of that particular programming language. And last but not least, there is no escape from data structures and algorithm. There is no escape. This is, as you can see in the pyramid, this data structure and algorithm covers the major section of the entire pyramid. So I'll go in detail for each of the section in the coming slides. We'll start off with explain like I'm five. So for this concept, the way you need to prepare yourself is whenever you are explaining an idea or something that is in your head, you want to explain it with your friends or your teammates, explain it to them as if they are a 5-year-old. They don't know anything. You are the boss. You don't, you know that they know nothing. They are like illiterates, or I wouldn't call them as illiterates, but they know nothing basically. They just have knowledge, as much as knowledge as a 5-year-old has. So you should be able to explain it to them as if you are explaining it to a 5-year-old, and that 5-year-old understands. It should be that simple. Next, if you did not know a concept or an idea, just imagine, like, suppose I am explaining you quantum physics. Now none of y'all might be knowing, many of y'all might not be knowing what quantum physics is. I would be explaining it to y'all. Think of how you would like an explanation. Like, for example, somebody is really good at programming, someone is really good at gaming, someone is really good at playing instruments. So you can actually relate yourself to that person who is explaining stuffs to you in those terms. Suppose you are really good at playing a music instrument, so you expect someone to explain quantum physics to you in terms of music, so that it might sound more interesting and you can actually relate musical theory with quantum physics that way. Next point is try to have different explanations for the concept as per the age. Now, even though the title says explain like I'm five, I have included this point mainly because not every time you would be explaining an idea or a concept to someone wherein they will be not knowing it at all. So suppose you are explaining object-oriented programming to a friend of yours. Obviously, the friend would be having some idea about object-oriented programming. So you should be able to explain it to them in a way that it would be interesting for them. Now, this friend of yours, he or she is they like sports a lot. So you can actually relate sports terms and object-oriented programming terms, relate both of them, and then you can deliver this idea or explain this idea to them. And this is not only your friends, it could be your seniors too. In fact, you can explain stuffs to your teachers. Teachers knowing a lot, you should be able to explain it to them, wherein they would be cross-questioning you, and that would increase your knowledge. So this is basically a part of exploration, wherein y'all can actually, you know, convey concepts or explain concepts to different people of different ages. Then, yes, as I had mentioned earlier, I told you all not to change languages. In the sense, whenever you are explaining a concept, explain the entire concept in a single language. Now, yes, you all know many languages. Whenever you are explaining the concept, stick to one particular language for the entire concept. Explain it once again in some other language. This is provided the other party does understand this other language you are talking in. Um yes, you should be able to explain this particular concept in at least two languages, because I assume that everyone would be knowing a minimum of two languages, we being Indians. So yeah. Last but not the least, not to fake at all. You should be explaining as much as you know only. You should not be explaining stuffs or explaining concepts or making up stories and uh, you know uh, explaining it to your peers or something. Suppose they again, I would take the example of object-oriented programming. You should be explaining stuffs only as far as only the things that you know. Nothing that you do not know of, you should explain it to them. So this is a big uh, point, a major point, I would say, not to fake anything at all. Coming to the next section, know a programming language. So by knowing a programming language, I mean you should not know it thoroughly. You should know the basics of it, and at least to write common algorithms, which I would sharing with you all later in this slide, like what to prepare on. And basically they would be thinking, they would be assessing, they in the sense the interviewers, your companies and your employers would be assessing your logical thinking than actually the ability to code. Because trust me, whatever you code in your interview is nowhere useful in the company that you would be working with. This is just a phase of the interview wherein they check how logical you think, how logical you are. So logical thinking is a big plus point. Now, as you can see, this is the programmer's periodic table, I would say. So there are numerous programming languages. Y'all would be aware of Java, Python, C Sharp, C, C++. So now the trending technologies I would say is Java, but Java being too mainstream, I would suggest all of y'all to concentrate on Python because Python is in a lot of demand, and there's something called as Golang. So that is again a programming language which is coming up. So it is not necessary for you all to stick to these languages. You can pick up any single language, whatever language is convenient for you. Just start learning, and then as and when you start learning this particular language, you will come to know that all languages are actually similar. It's just the concepts that are different, or the syntax, I would say. And there would be additional features in a particular programming language, and some languages they lack them. So it's actually the same. Ultimately, everything boils down to the logic, the way you think, or way the way you code or way you approach a problem. It The problem can be as simple as you're asking someone to open a bottle, how to open a bottle. Now, if you give a 1 year old a bottle and you tell the 1 year old to open the bottle, they wouldn't even understand as to what's going on, or in fact, they wouldn't even know how to open the bottle. So, yes, how logical you think, that's what it matters. And obviously, the plus point of knowing more than one programming language is there, but I would still say stick to one particular programming language, thorough it. You don't need to be thorough, but yes, you should be able to implement all the common algorithms using that particular languages. Because trust me, after you get into a company, yes, you will have to change your entire skill set and relearn a particular language. Last is data structures and algorithms. So here I would be sharing the data structures and algorithms that you must know. Not all of them needs to be known, but yeah, these are the most important ones. First one being arrays, the most common data structure of all. Next, the linked list cannot be missed at all. Stacks would come after arrays, I would say, like arrays, stacks, and the next queue. Arrays, stacks, and queues are the most important data structures, I would say, that are actually used in the common times. Linked lists are also used in the top level. Then comes binary tree. So binary tree is implemented in like really dream companies. They use a lot of binary trees, binary search trees, heap, hashing. When it comes to cryptography and all, hashing, you will have to concentrate a lot of hashing. But as a beginner or as a fresh graduate, arrays, stacks, queue, and linked lists are a must. You may skip out linked list, but still, I would suggest you all have a faint idea as to how linked lists are implemented. These were the data structures. Coming to algorithms, now, many a times interviewers ask questions, ask these common algorithms, and I have mentioned a few of them. So they would ask you to find the missing number. There would be a number missing between 1 to 100. So you would have to find a missing number. In fact, this was a question that was asked to me for one of the interviews. Then comes, you need to find a duplicate number in an array that has been provided to you. Min max of an array, this is like the most common. Then you will have to remove duplicates from an array or from a list or a stack. You will have to remove duplicate numbers from an array. Length of a singly linked list. You will have to compute the length of a singly linked list. Reverse a link list. So this was another question that was asked to me in one of the interviews. So although, to be honest, I told them I couldn't write the program. So they said that was completely fine, but they saw how I was thinking as to how to reverse a linked list, and that's what took me ahead. Next is pre-post in order traversals in a binary tree. So this is towards a complex algorithms, but even if you know the logic behind this, it's more than enough. You don't need to, there is no need for you to know how to code in a particular language. Then all the sorting algorithms, be it insertion sort, bubble sort, heap sort, merge sort, all sorting algorithms and their time complexities have to be known. It is a must. There is no escaping this. Then pyramid structures, mainly pyramid structures are basically like you need to print star pyramids in a particular fashion. So yeah, this is one of the common algorithms that are asked in interviewers. So preparing for all these programs is a big plus point. And then yeah, conversions of numbers from octal to hexadecimal, or from hexadecimal to decimal, decimal to binary. Concept. If not writing a program, you should be able to write an algorithm. Write an algorithm in the sense you should be able to write the steps programmatically. You don't need to worry about the syntax because it's just an algorithm. You should be able to convey the steps for all these algorithms to the interviewers if at all they ask you, in a way that they would understand, and yes, they are convinced. So ultimately it boils down how logical you think. Yeah. So these were the three ways that you can actually prepare yourself for an industry, or for a company, not just for an interview, but for a company or any company for that matter, I would say. And yes, that coming to an end, I would like to share my interview experiences. Trust me, I've given interviews for 4 companies. Yeah. So during my time in the year 2017, the first company that had come was Bombardier. So again, their procedure was like aptitude, and then there were interviews after that. I do not know how many interviews were there after that, but yes, I failed in the aptitude test itself. But that did not stop me. So I was curious after I gave the aptitude test for Bombardier. So the the format was like there were like 20 MCQs and three programs. So you could actually choose any program, and you had to write the program that they had mentioned. So one of the programs I still remember till date was to find out the square root of a number. So I was wondering how can they simply ask this question as a programming, program. How can they just ask this as a programming question? I thought you could. I was under the intention that I was assuming that we could just use the square root function and then just find out the square root of a number. But later on, I realized that there would be some challenge to it, and I realized that we hadn't to use the square root function. So that was what got me more curious. Although I couldn't answer it, I kept this question at the back of my head. The other 2 questions were pretty simple. One was regarding merge sort, and the other one was to print a pyramid structure. The aptitude. So I took this question, like finding the square root of a number. I kept this in mind. I went to few teachers and then asked them, and they were the ones who actually helped me out. Oh yes, this was yes after the entire interview and all the results came. I went to few teachers and then they told me yes, it could have been approached in this way too. So that's where I realized, yes, I could have done it that way. So Bombardier was a complete no for me. Then came Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra was the same procedure, aptitude, and a lot of interviews. So aptitude was like again there were like 3 sections. One was like English, one was like verbal, and one was like technical related aptitude. So that was pretty simple. There was no programming involved in Tech Mahindra. could easily crack the aptitude for Tech Mahindra. And then I there were the interviews. So the first interview was the technical interview. To be honest, I was not that very good at programming in terms of linked lists and all that stuff. So I stuck to whatever I knew. So the BE project, the final year project that I was doing, I knew that inside out. So the interviewer asked me to introduce myself, I introduced myself confidently, thoroughly. I did not speak of a single technical term, but I was completely rotating and revolving around my final year project. And guess what? The interviewer asked me only about my final year project, and that's how I cracked my technical interview. After that came the HR interview. So this is one of the interviews that I'm really bad at. So for the HR interview took place at night at around, I guess it was at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. So all of us were waiting. It was my turn and I entered the room. The two interviewers were sitting right in front of me. I gave my resume to them and then they were going through my entire resume. So over there also, there are chances that the HRs to ask you technical questions. So um, it so happened that when he was going through my resume, he came across this particular section which told me that I have completed my 10th from this particular school. So I completed my 10th from Loyola's. So the person who was interviewing me, he was from St. Vincent's, and this is a true fact that St. Vincent's and Loyola's, they don't get along that very well. So the moment the interviewer revealed that he is from St. Vincent's, I burst out into laughter. I literally started laughing and I was like pretty scared. I was like completely friendly with that particular interviewer. And then he gave me the taunt. Acha, you're from Loyola, huh? So I said, yes, sir. And I literally said this to them that both of us, we did not get along together that well. So he said, yeah, I know. And then later on, when he was reading my resume, he came across this section where I was involved in music and all. So he asked me, what instrument do I play? So I said, I play the piano. And then he asked me, do you know the guitar? So I said, yes, I do know the guitar. So I know the music, the theory and all. So guess what? For this particular HR technical interview, the only question that he asked me was, how do you play the F major chord? I, yeah, and then he gave me a piece of paper, and I was carrying a pen with me. So I used this pen of mine uh, to draw the chord on this piece of paper that he had given me. I drew it, I showed it to him, and he said, "Perfect, great." And then he asked me whether do you have any questions? And when all this was going on, my pen was still kept on the table, and the person who was from St. Vincent's and me, we went on talking about our school stuff only, and we were talking about bands and all that stuff, completely friendly. Then after everything got over, I stepped out of the room. As soon as I stepped out of the room, I realized I left my pen inside the room. Now going back inside the room, it would be really awkward and it would show them that yes, I was careless and I did not remember to collect my things. So I just waited. So the results came back at 10 o'clock at night, and then go to see they did call out my name. I wasn't all that happy. I was still worried about this particular pen because it was precious. And I went and asked this particular interviewer, "Sir, I had left my pen back in the room. Do you have it?" And go to see. He did have it, and then he said, "You remembered? Wow, that's great." So I said, "Yeah, I did. It was dear to me." So that was the entire Tech Mahindra thing. Then came Zorient. Zorient again, my technical again I was revolving and rotating around this third year project, but that did not stop the interviewer from asking technical questions. So he asked me SQL questions. So I told him frankly that I do not know the syntax of SQL commands, but yes, I will be telling you the entire logic. So he asked me, there are a million records and you want to find the nth record. How would you find this record? So I told him the solution completely logically by using indexes and then how they are used and all that stuff. There was no need for me to write the complete query, but yeah, I explained it to a way that I'm explaining it to as if he does not know anything, and yeah, he was able to understand. So that took me past the technical round for Zorient, but again, when it came to the managerial round, I failed over there mainly because the the interviewer over there, he asked me one question: what is what is it that you would like to send to space above, in the solar system or in the space? What is that one thing that you would like to send? I was like completely confused as to why he was asking me all these things. And guess what? Means he had read my resume from top to bottom. So I had mentioned something about National Science Olympiad. So he actually combined this music thing that I had and this National Science Olympiad achievements. And then he combined both of them, and he asked me this particular question: what is it that you would send to space? So I blindly, without thinking, I just said that I would send a rocket or something, or a rocket. I would send a rocket or a space shuttle to the space and all. So he said, "Acha, okay, fine." That's all. Man, there were a lot of chit chat, but yeah, that was the only thing that he judged me upon. And then he told me, "Wouldn't you send sounds to space?" So I said, "No, sir, I have never thought of it." So what is your take on sound? Sending sound to space. So I said, "Sir, I am completely unaware of this." And then he revealed to me that since you have a background of music as well as you have completed a lot of science Olympiads, I thought I would receive a more logical answer. So that is where I think I was completely out, and then I was rejected from Zorian. Then came Scalsoft. Now y'all might be wondering after Tech Mahindra why I had to give two more interviews like Zorient. So obviously Zorient was like offering a higher package, and yeah, I had given the interviews for Zorient. Plus, the reason that I gave interviews for Calsoft was that because from Tech Mahindra there wasn't any response. So Calsoft people, they called me because my final year project was sponsored by Calsoft. They called me up and then they scheduled an interview. And the questions they asked me for the interview was completely related to algorithms and program. So the first question they asked was to find the maximum in a given array. And then the next one was like to find the missing number in an array from 1 to 100. So there are numbers from 1 to 100 and one number is missing. So I blindly said I would sort them and then find out which number. Then he questioned, what if there are a million numbers? So I said, okay, fine, let me think. Then I came up with a solution and I gave it to them, gave it to the interviewer, and then he was impressed. And then after that, he asked me a question related to linked list. So again, over here, he was just checking the logic, which I couldn't again give the logic. That is exactly one of the reasons why I was given to another interviewer. So the second technical interview I gave for Calsoft was an architect. So the interviewer was an architect, and he asked me a really simple question. Means it is a basic question for any computer science engineering student. So he asked me, how does the computer read and write a text file? I was completely stunned. I did not know anything. So that very moment, I started thinking as to how the computer would do all these processes and all that stuff. So there was a smile on his face. He knew that I did not know anything. In fact, I had also revealed to him that I do not know, but yes, I would take a logical approach to it and tackle the question. And whatever I was saying, there was a glow on his face, and that actually impressed. My answer actually impressed him, and that's how I got selected into Calsoft, and I'm with Calsoft ever since then. So those were my experiences, and my advice to all of y'all. So do you all have any questions? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jelson, for giving the entire details about your experience and what exactly is required into the industry. Guys, if you have any doubts, please clarify. Any questions, please post into the chat box, and Jelson will be in a position to help you out with the answers.
By the way, do remember, like, there are no silly questions. You can ask whatever you want, like anything, but there are no silly questions or stupid questions. It's just they are just questions. Any doubts, anything in your head, you feel free to ask. Yeah.
Any questions, please post into the chat box. I think students are afraid of you, Jelson.
There's no need to be afraid. Oh, that's nice. Thank you so much. I received a yeah. If at all there are no questions, I can move to the next session, the puzzle section. Now I'll be showing you all how complicated your brain is, and yes, trust me, it is the way you think is more important than anything else, I would say. So yeah. Okay. So shall we move to the okay? Okay. So we do not have Python for coding round. So is it really recommended to use? Yes, 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 it is. You yes, in their systems now, when you're giving the online when you're giving the online interviews, yes, they do not have system. Sorry, they do not have Python in them. But I would really say that knowing Python is a big time plus. It's a big advantage for y'all. It is, see, ultimately, y'all are giving interviews not just for getting into a company, but later on down the line, y'all should be satisfied with what you're using and all. Learning Python is a big time, and I have actually come across. I do not, to be honest, I do not know Python. I am learning Python right now. Means after so long, yes, it is recommended. I would say a lot of things can be achieved using Python. Yes,
Yeah,
no
one
problem.
question from my end.
Yes.
Jelson, just wanted to check on behalf of these students, as these students are in third year. So, what are the benefits, or you can say, what are the percentage of soft skills and presentation, how you present yourself and the soft skills is into the interview? What is the
Okay.
percentage of that,
Yes.
except other than the technical stuff?
Okay, okay. So when it comes to presenting yourself in terms of soft skills and all, I would actually say it is 60%, mainly because you are giving the interviewer an image of yourself as to who you are, how you are, and how you carry yourself going down the line. In the technical front, trust me, you can learn that anytime. You can upgrade your skills anytime down the line. So concentrating more on soft skills, I would say, is a plus point, is a must, mainly because that is, even though the interviewer is not able to grasp or even if the interviewer is not able to get out everything from you, he will have a rough idea just by looking at you as to how you carry yourself, and how you would act or how you would behave with the employees or your teammates and all that stuff. So that's what I would rate when it comes to soft skills. Yeah. In fact, even when I'm taking interviews, that's the first thing I would actually look at. But now of late, since it is all virtual and all, you do not have the face-to-face stuff. Although you can just switch on the video and you don't get an entire perception. So yeah, it does count uh, in the majority side. Yes, a great question. Is it uh, is it better to do many projects or do a few projects and know thoroughly about these projects that you're working at? I would say do a few projects. See, doing multiple projects is, I would say, is not all that great as a fresher, mainly because even when you are starting a particular project, you would start it and leave it through halfway. If you do these few projects and know them thoroughly, in these projects itself, there would be scope for you to enhance them. Suppose I will take a really a layman's example, a layman's project. So building a simple calculator. By calculator, I mean not just a C program on how to write a calculator or how to when the user inputs two numbers and you either add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Nothing of that sort. But I'm talking about a proper calculator, like the Windows calculator, I would say, with the graphical representation and all that stuff. So whenever you're working, suppose you're working on this uh, particular project, so you would feel it is just one single project. That is more than enough if you're working on this single project. Later on down the line, this project will never stop, mainly because you can get more ideas as to how to add more plugins or more extensions to this particular calculator. Now whenever I would be saying whenever I will be using the term calculator, the thing that would be coming to your mind is just addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, that's it. But if you actually go to see, there are a lot of other mathematical operations that can be performed. In fact, if you see the extended version of Windows calculator, there are a lot of functionalities that can be performed. You can use all these functionalities in this particular project of calculator project that you're working on, and add a lot of features, add a lot of plugins. In fact, this particular project that you're working on, you can enhance this project and build one huge project with this single foundation. So I would recommend or suggest going in for a few projects and knowing them thoroughly inside out. And in addition to knowing these few projects inside out, you can also, in case you want to work on additional projects, instead of adding a new project, I would recommend you to enhance the existing projects that you are working on. Think, rack your brains, or stress your brains out as to how you can actually add stuff to this project that you're working on. Hope that answered my question. Sorry, your question. Yes. Another question. How to tackle questions wherein you are completely unaware of what's asked, or have a really less knowledge which you believe is not sufficient to answer the question? Yes, another good question. So, if you feel that you cannot approach this question that you are asked logically, then you can blindly say, sorry, sir, I am unaware of this topic, but it shouldn't be completely negative. You should be having some idea in the sense, I would take this experience, the experience which I told you about, me being asked, how does a computer read and write from a text file? So, to be honest, I completely conked out. I did not know anything. I know nothing about the hardware. I know nothing about processes and all. So, for I took my own time. Like, I asked the interviewer to give me few moments. So he was more than ready to give me that time. So I thought, on my piece of paper, I wrote few stuff. I was jotting down whatever I was thinking onto this piece of paper. I approached this question logically, and then whatever I was writing down, you know, I aggregated them, and then I was talking to the examiner. So I would say that if there is a question that you are asked which you are completely unaware of, and you feel you could find the answer in a few moments, I would request you to tell the examiner that you would need some time to think on this particular question, and you can actually think on it. And if you are still not able to get it, you can tell the examiner that this is what my thinking was, and then I guess it is not 100% correct, but this would have been my approach, or these are what my views are or were. But to be honest, it is not 100% sure. You can put this forth in front of the interviewer. Yes. Hope that answered your question. Great. Is there anything else? Feel free. Okay. In case you'll have any questions, you can just post in the chat. I'll just carry on. Now, I'll hope you all can still see my screen. Is my screen still visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes, great. So moving on to the next session, next part, there are like two small puzzles, I would say. I would spend like 30 seconds in each of them, and I would conclude the entire webinar. So this is mainly so that you all know how complicated your brain actually is, and interviews are, e- in, even though you all are under a lot of pressure, the answers to the questions that you are asked for the interview are way more simpler than the way you are thinking. I will just prove it to you that right now how complex your brain is, and you do not need to, stress out or anything. So, going with the first puzzle. Now, if you can see, I've taken a square over here. So, yeah. So this is the square. This square I have divided into 5 parts. So this is part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and the fifth part. Now this fifth part is again a square. So yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first part. Okay. I'm going to take the first part, and I want you guys to divide this into 2 equal parts. You might be wondering how silly a question would that be? Yeah, I would give you like 30 seconds for you all to divide. Now, whenever you are dividing a shape into equal parts, by dividing, I mean they should be congruent. Means if you take a piece, means if you cut this particular shape in a piece of paper, and then you place it on one on top of the other, it will be easy for you. I mean, it will be exactly the same. I guess you all got the answer for this. Most of you all must have got the answer for this. Yeah. Going on to the, I wouldn't be revealing the answers at all. I would be having the answers at the end of the slide, which I wouldn't be covering in the webinar. So you all can take this a deck and then check out the answers for yourselves. Next question is, I would be taking the second part, and I want you all to divide this into three equal parts. Again, you all might be wondering, how silly a question could this be? And I guess all of y'all must have got this too. Yeah. Now, guess what? Y'all might be knowing the next question. It is but obvious. I would be taking the third part and I'll be asking y'all to divide it into four equal parts. Okay. Now, before y'all work on this particular puzzle, I will say most of y'all would be dividing it like this. Like you draw a line from one end to the other end of the shape, and then from the center you will be drawing another line to this vertex. So these are not equal parts. Equal parts means they should be congruent. Means if you take a piece of paper, cut out the shape and cut along the lines, you place it one on top of the other, they should be exactly the same. So this is not a correct answer. So I'll give you a little more time to divide this into four equal parts. I'll give you a hint after like 30 seconds or so, and you'll be stunned after I give this hint to y'all. Okay. I would be revealing the hint to y'all. Y'all have already seen the answer to this particular puzzle. Dividing this particular shape into four equal parts, y'all have already seen the answer. In fact, I've already disclosed the answer to y'all. It's not this, by the way. This isn't the answer. But yeah, y'all have already seen the answer for this. The reason why I'm spending a lot of time at this particular puzzle is uh, there is a reason for it. So yeah. So yeah, let's just move on. I have the answers at the end of the slide, which y'all can refer to later on. Last but not the least, the toughest puzzle. Now, I would take the final shape and I want you all to divide this into seven equal parts. Seven equal parts. By the way, that's the square. If you remember in the first picture that I had shown, there was a square at the bottom right. So this is that square. So you'll have to divide this into seven equal parts. Yeah, a great one, Kunal. I guess Kunal has already gotten the answer. That's great. So, yeah. Yeah, and quite a few have already gotten the answer to the to dividing the shape into four. Oh, okay. Okay, okay. No wonder. Great, great, great. Okay. So, yeah. So, moving on to the final puzzle. Now, this is like you all might be wondering, what kind of puzzle is this? I do not know if I must have taken this particular puzzle, but yeah. So basically, y'all need to guess one woman's daughter's ages. Okay. So it's a story basically. I'll just narrate the story to you. There's this salesman. He visits one house to sell some of his products, but obviously he wants to sell his products that he had. He goes to this house and knocks at the door. So when he knocks, an elderly lady opens the door, and she was reluctant to buy these products. So the salesman was like literally behind her to get his products and all that stuff. So the lady finally decides that she would buy the products only if he guessed all her daughter's ages correctly. So the salesman said, okay. He agreed to this challenge that was given by this woman. So the woman started off. She started giving him the conditions or the statements. So she started off. The sum of all my daughters' ages is 13. So she had three daughters. I did not mention them over here, but yeah. There are three. She had three daughters. So the sum of these three daughters' ages is 13. Okay. And the product or the multiplication of their ages is equal to the house number. The house number is basically like you can call it the flat number, but it was a bungalow, so it's just the house number. So the sum is 13 and the product of the ages is equal to the house number. So only the salesman knows the house number. We do not know. Okay. Then he was thinking, and then after the woman gave these two statements, the salesman said that there was something missing. You need to give me more data. So the woman also thought for a moment and then she said, yeah, you are right. And then she gave the final statement saying, my eldest daughter plays the piano. That was a final statement. Okay, that was a final statement given by the woman. Then the salesman thought, and then he was satisfied with the final statement, and then able to get, he was able to guess the ages of all the three daughters correctly. Now, my question to you is, can you guess? I know many of them will be answering yes, but you actually need to you actually need to provide the daughters' ages. So there is no wordplay at all in this. It's everything straightforward. Everything is straightforward. It is now. I would say whenever it comes to thinking, there are two ways of thinking. Like one is logical thinking, and one is lateral thinking. Lateral thinking is like thinking out of the box. So that is a type of thinking that is recommended, I would say, because that adds a big plus point to your profile. Mainly because, like, at times interviewers ask you questions like, before you enter the room, they'll be asking you how many lights were there on the ceiling and all that stuff. Like, so basically, you are aware of your surroundings. So, this is one of them. Now, okay, many of y'all might be asking, is there an age to play the piano? By the way, no, there isn't. So, yes, that was my final riddle, and that's how I would conclude my session with. Uh, yes, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I have all my, my email ID, or you can add me on LinkedIn or Facebook, or I have provided all my handles at the beginning. So, if at all y'all have any questions, y'all can post over here. I'm free to answer them to y'all. Feel free to ask any questions, or if you have any problems, you all can just ping me, just a message away. And yes, the answer to the riddle I will not be revealing. It is in this presentation. I will be sharing this presentation with I will be sharing this presentation with Hiresh sir, so y'all can get it from him. Okay, just to tell y'all, since most of y'all got the answer to the shapes puzzle, I'll just show y'all how it looks like. So obviously, divide it into two equal parts. Y'all got it. It was that simple. Dividing it into three equal parts, again simple. Dividing it into four equal parts. If you had carefully observed the first figure that I had shown y'all, that actually contained the answer to this. So yeah, that's the answer. And dividing it into seven equal parts, generally no one gets this, mainly because a lot of them, they break their head on the previous puzzle, and then they find that dividing this into seven equal parts is like really tough. So yeah. And answer to the next riddle is there in the next slide. You all can take the slide and check it out for yourselves. I wouldn't waste time uh, discussing the answer to that. So yeah, thank you. Are there any other
Thank you
questions?
so much, Jelson.
No
Thank you
problem.
so much for giving the entire insights and for the puzzle as well. Because after the session, the students' minds are getting diverted and getting relaxed. So, post the session, if there's some riddle or some questions, it is going to be a booster for these students, wherein their mind will think something.
Yeah.
And thank you so much to all these students as well to be the part of the session and attending it tentatively and attentively. So I hope you have gained some of the knowledge out of this presentation by Jelson, who is your own alumni. And he is always available. I know him from a long time, from 2000. He's a 2017 batch pass out, and I know him from a long time. And even though getting placed into the company and working into the company, he always get in touch with me. So whenever I do remember, whenever I post something onto Facebook or onto my WhatsApp status that so and so student got placed into this company, so immediately the first person I get the message is Jelson asking, sir, which company it is. So he is very tentatively and attentively checking all the things onto the college, and he is helping our college and the students as well. So he is in touch with the seniors as well as juniors also. He is in touch with everything, and uh, this is a kind of proactiveness which he is showing to the students and to the college. Thank you so much, Jelson, for the entire session. Thank you so much, everyone, to be the part of it.
Thank you,
With
sir,
this,
for
I
having
call
me.
upon that this session is over now.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone for patiently listening to this. Yeah, hope you all got something out of it. Yeah, feel free to, yes. Thank you so much.